One of the first things artists do after completing a work is sign the piece. It can be signed while it's dry, or even while it's wet, depending on the type of paint and the look they want. It's up to the artist. Remember that a signature is there to tell people who did the work. It's a kind of stamp of ownership. But it shouldn't take away from the artistry or be too dominant. There are some exceptions. Every once in a while, I'll see an artist whose signature is prominent, not necessarily large, but obvious. But it's handled in such a way as to actually enhance the painting. There's an Australian artist, for example, who signs his watercolors with red paint. It's a bold move. In certain paintings, it really works, and it's actually a pleasing addition. Like in this piece by Van Gogh. It also helps if it's done in a professional manner, like this piece by Sargent. It should be well placed so that it's part of the artistic statement. As we saw previously, if you do decide to use red, you have to be very careful. It can easily go wrong, and it may not work on every painting. Normally, you just want your signature to sit there quietly, available to the viewer if needed. Sometimes artists will even sign the back of the piece instead. I've had to do that on occasion because I personally like my signature to be very subtle, and some paintings have no appropriate spot for it. Let's take a look at what exactly the masters did when they signed their work. How did they approach it? Almost all of the signatures that you're going to see here were found on the website of the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. Their website is wonderful because you can click on the master's painting that you want to see and then zoom all the way in, usually, to get a close-up look at the painting. And so let's go through the ones I found, and we'll make some observations about how they signed their work. First of all, we didn't really start to see signatures until about the 1400s, which is during the Renaissance and the development of oil painting. But by the 1600s, as I was browsing, it seemed like they were not afraid to place their signatures in open spaces, such as this piece by Rembrandt. Most masters, however, and most signatures, on the whole, can be found either on the bottom right or on the bottom left of the painting. Sometimes, and it seemed a little more popular in the 1800s, you'll find them in the upper right or the upper left. Some of them were so close to the edge, on the bottom in particular, that it kind of makes you wonder if they cropped the painting image. In this case, it's almost certain. The end of his name actually gets cut off. Now, most signatures are on the front of the painting, but once in a while, the artist would sign on the back. Now, whether that's for personal reasons, maybe that's their style, or they just didn't want to interfere with the image on the front, I can't make estimations there, but you do find masters that sign the back. Another thing you'll notice is that they use variations on their name. Some artists use their whole name, like you can see here. Some use only their last name. Some use their first name and a last initial. And some only use initials. If we zoom in, you can see some rather messy initials, and interestingly, it looks like he may have wiped off his first attempt. I can't say for sure, but it sure looks like it. It's so human. In fact, sometimes they take those initials and they'll turn them into a symbol. Or they may incorporate the initials into the scene in kind of a clever way. Such as this one by Claus, and this one by Raphael. Both Dürer and Whistler created symbols with their initials. Whistler slowly developed his signature into a butterfly and then a very abstract version of his butterfly signature. Often an artist's signature would change over time, but there were many also who didn't. They maintained consistency. Sometimes artists would use a stamp, such as this Atelier stamp for Renoir. Artists' signatures vary by their style, too. Some are really scrappy looking, You can tell they're handwritten. When you look at Degas and Corot, they're both pretty rough looking, while others are very elegant, like this one by Huysum. It's almost script. The majority, I would say, are done in block lettering. They usually look like they're made up of single brush strokes, often using capital letters. And then you'll find some that have a really unique look, like this one by Hassam. It just kind of has a stylistic look to it. Artists' signatures will vary by other criteria too. For example, they are not always painted in. Sometimes they're scraped in. Look at this example by Mark, who used very impasto paint, so it made his signature, when he scraped it out, even more prominent. Sometimes they blend it into the surroundings. Others will make it very bold. Sometimes they're even almost impossible to find. For example, this one. I literally cannot find it, but it's supposed to be in the lower left. Artists may use large lettering for their name or small lettering. They may use fat or thin lettering. And they may change the value. So if painting their name on a dark background, they may use light paint or dark paint, depending on how obvious they want their signature. I also noticed that masters would sometimes include other information. Very often, their signatures would include the year that the painting was completed. Sometimes they would include the location of the scene. And once in a while, they would write on the front the dedication to the patron or the loved one. This one in particular almost looks like he scraped in his dedication, doesn't it? Every aspect of a master painting is so fascinating, even their signatures. In a way, it too tells us a little bit about the painter. If you're an artist, you have to decide for yourself how you want to represent your name on your work. It's all part of the art of creating.